Bonjour y'all, my name is Brita, and today on Witches Unite, I am continuing my Fortresses 101 series with tips on how you can be a better teammate in wizarding challenges. Some of the best ways to be a better teammate are things I've already covered this week, so I'm just going to go over them quickly. The first consideration is for before you even begin a wizarding challenge. Do you have the resources to be a good teammate? Do you have enough spell energy to contribute to foes? Do you have enough potions to use near the end of a challenge if the time is growing close and there's still a lot of foes out there? These are the things that you need to consider before starting a wizarding challenge so that you can be a good teammate. And of course, I have a full video on choosing a chamber for wizarding challenges where I do go over resources more in depth. So you can check that out in the card above or in the description down below. Regardless of whether or not you are playing with your fellow witches and wizards in person, or if you have hopped aboard the night bus to join players from around the world, one of the easiest and best things that you can do when you start a wizarding challenge is to just pause, look at the screen, and think about your move before jumping into the action. And this is true regardless of your profession and regardless of whether or not you are able to talk to your fellow players or if you are just all hopefully working together without being able to communicate. You want to look at all of the foes that are on the board. You want to maybe double check who the other professions are in your group if you were not paying close attention previously. And you want to see what are the best strategic spells that you should be using right at the beginning. If you're a professor, you might decide that saving up for proficiency is the best use of your focus. If you're a magizoologist, you also might think at the beginning, actually, yes, as a magizoologist, at the beginning, you should just be holding on to your focus because no one needs to be healed or revived yet. But you're saving up for bravery. And then as an auror, you are looking at who needs to be hexed and maybe which professors could use a little extra focus so that the professors can put out their charms. You also, when looking at all of the foes, at the very, very beginning, you want to go for the easiest ones for you. And that is because all of your team needs more focus. So for professors, you're going to take out those pixies pretty quickly and accumulate that focus and be able to do more of your strategic spells. On the top of my head, I'm not sure what is easiest for aurors and for magizoologists. But again, just go for the easiest first. Similarly, you do not want to start on your elite foes. You want to save the elite foes for the middle of the battle. Ideally, you will have a magizoologist on your team, and you will wait until they have cast the Bravery charm before you take out an elite foe. That's because the Bravery charm makes it a lot easier to take out an elite foe. In fact, when there is both proficiency and the Bravery charm on, there are times when I have taken out a werewolf in 2 shots, an elite werewolf in 2 hits. So you definitely want to wait for bravery, and hopefully you also are able to wait for proficiency. Throughout the wizarding challenge, you should always take time to look at the arena to see about the foes, to see about your strategic spells. I know that it's tempting to just immediately go back and forth between foes, knock one out, start another, knock one out, start another. But taking a few seconds to assess the situation will help you be a better teammate. Like I said in my video on strategic spells, you want to be constantly using those. And you want to be constantly using those not just to help yourself, but to help your teammates. So, for example, as a professor, I have the deterioration hex. So if there are a lot of foes that I am proficient against out, but one of my teammates' professions or Magizoologist doesn't have anything that they're proficient against to fight, then I might put the deterioration hex on something that's high for them to take out, to kind of help make that neutral not as bad. Or if there's no elites for me, but there are other elites on the board, I might give my deterioration hex to an elite to help out my teammates. So again, strategic spells, be strategic with them. That is how you can be a better teammate. Side note, hopefully the rain is not too loud in this video. I'm filming in my office, which has a fireplace that side of my camera, and it's pretty loud, at least for me. So hopefully my little microphone, which is off to the side right here, is not picking up those noises. Also, I don't usually film here, but I haven't been feeling well, so I thought this would be a comfortable place for me to film. And y'all can see my fancy light reflected in the window behind me. Okay, but back to being a better teammate. So, if you are playing with people in person, communication is key. In fact, ideally, you will actually communicate before the Wizarding Challenge even starts. So I am almost always playing with another professor, or one of us will start with shields, and one of us will save up for proficiency. You also want to be communicating with your aurors, like, hey, I just need one more focus in order to cast a shield, or I need one more focus in order to cast proficiency. If you are about to get knocked out, you need to communicate to your Magizoologist so they know to jump out of their battle and revive you. So the Magizoologist charms, it's 2 focus to like heal a little bit, and then it's only 1 focus to revive someone who's knocked out. So most Magizoologists will strategically let you get knocked out so that they can just revive you. And just to help with the timing of it, it helps if you're like, hey, I'm about to get knocked out, so that they know when to jump out of battle and go ahead and revive you. Other things you might need to communicate is if you are currently working on a foe that is not your proficiency, and someone else goes to the map and is like, or the arena, and says, hey, like, I can take that for you. You need to be listening so you can jump out of that foe and let someone who is proficient against it switch to that foe, and they'll take it out more quickly. Of course, with the night bus, communication right now is not a thing in the game. Every profession has a proficient foe, a neutral foe, and a deficient foe. Ideally, there will be proficient foes for everybody. So whenever you are looking at the arena, the chamber, whatever, and looking at the foes, take the time to find something that you are proficient against, ideally. If there's nothing that you're proficient against, look for things that you are neutral against. And if it's one of those very strange situations, which definitely happened to me earlier, where we had no aurors and about 7 dark wizards and Death Eaters, sometimes you are going to have to fight things you're deficient against. But since you are working with a team, and hopefully you have at least tried to put together a balanced team with at least one of each profession, you shouldn't have to fight things you're deficient against very often. Now, one of the considerations in this and being a good teammate is if, we're near the end of the battle and you're looking at your foes and you're like, there's nothing I'm proficient against. well, you should still be fighting. As long as there are foes available, you should still be fighting, even if there is not a proficiency for you. A good teammate will take the neutral so that their other teammate doesn't have to take a deficiency. Another thing to keep in mind regarding proficiencies, neutrals, and deficiencies is if you have hit your neutral a few times, done a bit of damage, you can back out and see if a new foe has appeared for you. Because sometimes a new foe will have appeared for you that you are proficient against. Other times, one of your teammates will have finished their previous battle, and what you were neutral against, they are proficient against. So you don't have to finish your foe, especially if you are neutral or deficient against them. And again, if you are able to communicate with your teammates, these are the things that you should be discussing across the table. If I finish my pixie and I see that an or is working on a werewolf, I'd be like, hey, back out of that werewolf and I'll finish it for you. Communication is key. Keeping an eye on the proficiencies, the neutrals, and the deficiencies is key. And making the sacrifice to fight against one of your neutral foes so that another teammate does not have to fight a deficient foe is definitely key to being a good teammate. My last piece of advice on being a better teammate is actually something to do after the challenge. There will be times when you lose a dark challenge, maybe even a forest challenge if you are playing with people who are a bit lower than you are. And I get that it's frustrating, but all of us were beginners at some point, and the way you handle a loss is really important because you want to encourage beginners. You don't want to discourage them. When I was in Denver last year, I got to meet up with my friend Gita Lovegood and one of her friends in the community, Steve. And they helped me get to Dark 5 for the first time, which was amazing. And then we were doing, different dark chambers, and we lost one of them. And it was definitely my fault because I didn't have all these tips that I am sharing with you now. And Steve and Gita were both so great about it, and they made it about a learning experience. And Steve just really nicely, kindly told me what I could do better the next time I played. And I didn't feel bad about losing. And it could have been a lot worse. Like, I could have felt really badly about myself for making us lose, especially since, we were all using like high rune stones and we lost those. But they were both really kind about it and really understanding and just made it a learning moment instead of like, you suck, we're not gonna play with you anymore. So while I understand it's frustrating to lose those high rune stones, use those losses as a learning moment. And I do know with the night buzz, there are bugs and you might be losing more often than you should. I mentioned in my runestone video that for now you might want to stick with level 3 runestones in the dark chambers just because there are so many bugs still going on that there are losses that are nobody's fault right now. But if you are playing with a group in person and somebody doesn't really do the best strategy and you guys lose, use that as a learning moment for them. Just be like, hey, next time you should leave the elites to the profession that is proficient against it. If you need that elite count, the other person can start it and then let you do the final hit for credit. That's the kind of thing that you might have to share with your teammates. But this is supposed to be Wizards Unite. My channel is Witches Unite. We're all in this together, and ultimately, the end of the day, this is just a game. So be kind to your fellow players, even if you lose. Alright, that is all that I have for y'all today. I hope that y'all are enjoying this series on Fortresses 101. I know that I am covering some super basics, but as I had mentioned before, I have noticed by riding the night bus that not everybody is aware of the tips and tricks I am sharing in this series. So I will try and have another video up tomorrow, because I did promise to have a video up every day this week. But it just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. I am on day 2 of being in a Crohn's flare, so I'm pretty cramped up, and it's hard to do anything when you're in a lot of pain. But I still managed to make this video, so I think that makes me a superstar. Anyway, I want to hear from you. What do you think makes a good teammate? Did I miss any ideas for being a better teammate in a wizarding challenge and Wizards Unite? So please leave a comment down below. If you like this kind of content, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. These are all things that tell the YouTube algorithm that people care about my perspective on the game Harry Potter Wizards Unite, and then I like show up in search results and stuff. So it's just some like mathy science magic going on behind the scenes. Anyway, as always, thank y'all so much for watching. Until next time, au revoir, witches.